Hey Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today on Alpha Commission, of course, we're going to go over that sideways action on the Bitcoin chart, guys. We're also going over Sol, and as you can see, it is kind of a mixed day on altcoins. We really do see just a bit of a hit or miss flurry over here, as some altcoins may be front running a potential move coming up in the next week. Now, what do we have going on this week? Well, a lot of people want to be super bearish. If you look at all the YouTubes out there, if you look at all the crypto Twitters, you can just see that everyone is getting super bearish. They're getting tired of going sideways. We're having time based exhaustion, right? That's what I said was going to happen a couple weeks ago, is that we are just going to go sideways. Everyone's going to get super bearish. And then suddenly, we're probably going to pop up off of support, or we're going to know our critical levels for a potential breakdown. And where could that happen this week? Well, on Monday we actually have some Fed vice chair talking about the potential policies of the Federal Reserve that could cause a little bit of waves in the market, just kind of picking the brain of the vice chair of the Federal Reserve there. But it's not like that's the end all be all of everything. Really, what we're going to be going by is the data that comes in on Tuesday, that PPI data, that core inflation that we're going to be looking for, that the Fed's going to be looking for to understand whether or not they are going to have to delay their rate cuts, or whether rate cuts are on the table for this year, etc., etc. Now, higher than expected inflation could kind of put a damper in the mood of the market, but just coming in about expectation, or even less than expected, definitely would pump the market, I think, personally, because it would suggest that the Fed has room to lower rates, and that's important in these speculative markets like crypto. Now, if we do just scroll down to Wednesday, you can see that we're also going to get that CPI data, which is also a measure of inflation. So we're going to have two big measures of inflation that the Fed will go by, right? In combination with the PCE data that we already got previously, and that's going to give the market a big picture of what's going on. So if you're in a position and it seems to be relatively stable, I wouldn't necessarily sell it just yet. You may want to just hear what happens on Tuesday with that PPI data, and what happens on Wednesday with that CPI data, and that might position you for the next move. Now, what could that next move look like? Well, if we head over to Sol, then what you can see is that we are looking at this potential inverted head and shoulders here, this potential bottoming structure. Now, we already hit my critical low. We came up to create that neckline up here, and now we're just working on the shoulder. As you can see, our hold momentum and our add or lose momentum levels are very close together. Whenever that happens, it does suggest that there's probably going to be a volatile move coming up. So we'll be looking to see, do we tap down to the bear zone here around 126-ish, right, 130-ish, or do we pop up to perhaps that big alpha energy line somewhere around 154, right? And if we can do that, maybe we can flip out and maybe even check at that critical bull zone there at 170 next to that weekly volatility pivot, okay? Now, as long as that volatility pivot is there at 167, as long as that 2-week volatility pivot is at 192, this market ain't going anywhere, because it is going to get slapped down when it hits those levels, even if we do have a push up. And so those are pretty much the limits of where you would expect some type of a long play to get to. Even if we did have a nice bullish movement here, we would expect some interaction with this level, and definitely some interaction with this level. And usually the name of the game is that sideways, it's what's going to bring those volatility pivots down, so that they're easier to conquer. And so, guys, we're just in a consolidation here. Sideways is still the name of the game. Of course, if we do tap down, we will be at risk of losing the Bollinger Bands, getting embedded to the downside. We will be in danger of losing this diagonal here, as well as our potential lows here that just might meet us for support somewhere around 100 should we get quagmired in that bear zone. Now, I'm not really projecting that right now. I'm a little bit more on the bullish side at the moment, but of course, the chart will tell us whatever it wants to do, and our job is just to position ourselves, right, so that if we're at support, we're potentially taking longs. If we're at resistance, we're potentially taking shorts. Now, this was the long position here, and of course, we're now in an area where it's much safer to be taking shorts. But personally, I think that this is acting as support. I think we have some wiggle room here. We're probably going to work on this zone up here. And so personally, I will not be shorting from this area. I will be looking for longs if we have a breakout. And if we get a nice pullback, then I'll be looking for longs at that bear zone. Or if we lose that bear zone, then potentially in this 100 area down here. Guys, that's my game plan for Solana. It's not that complicated. Basically, we just have to understand, do we get that breakout or do we get another rejection? Rejected, 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 rejected. Do we get another rejection that just brings us back to our lows? Well, sometimes that happens. Guys, let's head over to Bitcoin. And of course, Bitcoin looks pretty similar, except we have a little bit more of a falling wedge as opposed to that broadening wedge formation on Solana. And so this falling wedge, there is something to this where we do have bullish divergence building up. And this is giving me a little bit more hope that maybe Solana is also going to have a corrective move, because Bitcoin here has clear divergence, bullish divergence, Class A bullish divergence off of this low and this low, which is forming. And as long as we hold this low, I really can't be bearish in this area. This is our support area. Support, 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 right? So we want to see support. So we're going to have a bullish bias here. We're going to try to be taking those long positions unless we actually break this critical low somewhere around that $58,000 level, right? Getting embedded under, let's just say $59,000, $58,000 is going to look pretty bad. And the next spot we're going to be looking down to is maybe the low 50s as a potential support area, if not even a wick into the upper 40s. So that could be a scary drop. We definitely don't want that to happen. But again, let me just prove this one to you, okay, guys? Because I know it can sometimes be hard to take a person at their word here on YouTube. But you can see here we have this low on the RSI, and then what we're doing is we're generating a higher low. If we can flip that EMA on the RSI and then come up here and attack that 50% again, that's going to be a great long signal in my mind, because what would happen here is that we would have a low that comes into a higher low, and that's going to be a bullish divergence when you compare it to the chart, right? The price over here, which has a low and then it comes into a lower low. That's called Class A bullish divergence, and this is just a little bit of a fake out, right? That fake out measured move that I was expecting us to put in here, that's very common on a falling wedge. And so we hit that target precisely as I was calling it here over at Alpha Commission for you guys in advance. And then of course we also hit the top of my wedge almost to the penny. Now we've hit the bottom of my wedge almost to the penny. We're creating that Class A bullish divergence, and that could be what ends up breaking us out and basically letting us have a chance at taking out these highs here, where we do need to basically secure above, let's just say, 67,500. And then if we're able to get into that $68,000 to $70,000 area, we'll be flipping the bull zone, which means that this market could just continue massively to the upside. Now, where could we get limited in this move? Well, I would say, perhaps on the first try, even if we do pump, there could always be some wobble here. We could have a little bit of a check back to these lows, as long as we don't break like 59,000. I'm not really worried about that. We could do a little bit of a check back, a little bit of a wobble here, and maybe we're going to get limited on this overhead zone here, the supply zone, somewhere around this new big alpha energy level, which is around 63,765, where if we do flip that level, that's where that strength of the move for the breakout could come in. Okay, guys, so that's what I'm looking forward to. On Bitcoin, now you have to understand that we are underneath the Bollinger Band midline, whereas on Solana we were just at it, right, just kind of wobbling around it, but we are pretty significantly underneath the Bollinger Band midline on the daily here, and so we have a little bit of work cut out for us. We could, again, just get rejected here in the $62,000, come back down, and this could be just a slow grind into Wednesday, guys. And then if those CPI numbers, if those PPI numbers on Tuesday, if those CPI numbers on Wednesday are in our favor, then I think that could be the catalyst that just moves this market, maybe not necessarily to new all-time highs in this move, but maybe back to the middle of the chart, maybe back to our highs. And so you just don't want to be over bearish when you do have this type of Class A bullish divergence building up on the daily. And by the way, guys, if we do take a look at Solana again, we also have a nice, it's not the most powerful thing. Again, is it something that could take us back up to our highs? Not necessarily implying new highs or anything, but is it something that could continue to drive us forward? Yeah, we have this this 5-day hidden bullish divergence here. Let me take you over to the 5-day and just show you that. You can see that we have a nice low right here, and this low up here is much higher, right? And so, of course, if we look at our RSI, we can see that this low over here was pretty high, and now we're making a lower low. Now, that's not really going to change, even if we have a little bit of a pullback or anything like that. That hidden bullish divergence will still be there. And usually, that's something that's able to give us just a little bit of a pop-up. Let's just say that Solana on this kind of higher time frames like the 5-day, let's just say that it continues to break down, right? Well, sometimes we get these little pop-ups here, this kind of like little teaser actions, and that's what could take us back up to our local high, right? Before perhaps capitulating down, or we flip that EMA and then we just continue back and make new all-time highs. Okay, so that's how it works. This is the move that I'm looking for, that potential pop-up. Again, we could have pullbacks into Tuesday and Wednesday. In fact, that's perfectly healthy. We want to see that because that suggests that it's kind of like the fake out move, right? And the real move might be the reversal of it on some good news. So again, guys, that's my strategy. That's my alpha for the day. Stay safe and happy trading.